It's Talking Reds, it's Neil Atkinson, it's Fuad Hasan, and I am overwhelmingly excited. I am spine-tinglingly excited. Just written me email.
Yeah.
And so I said we've got the hierarchy of games since coming back. So forget last season where they were trying to do bits and pieces. So you've had the friendlies, massive, great, everyone enjoyed them, had a little cry. First home game back in the league, Burnley, great. All boxed off, everyone had a lovely time. First big game back in the league, Chelsea, done, tick that one off. And I said there was two more to do. One was the first one was first European game back, and then the next one was big European game back. Yeah. And the fact of the matter is, Fuad, both of them are tonight.
Exactly. You could have asked for a better one of this kind of draw of this group to have been played as the first one. It's sort of the game, if we wind back 12 months, the tunnel at the end of the light at the end of the tunnel really was that first European game back at Anfield. Under the lights, all the cliches.
All the cliches, but they're real. The cliches because they're real.
Exactly, they're all real. I mean, it's going to be brilliant, isn't it? It's going to be a cauldron in there. Everyone's going to be up for it. 8 o'clock kickoff as well. Yep. Not the earliest slot. Everything's kind of lined up. A big European club coming to Anfield. It's what we all want. It's what we all kind of dreamed of 12 months ago.
It's, for me, one of the things about them is that they have the magic. Forget whether or not they're good, because there's, the reports differ. Yeah. They're good enough to be in this competition, but forget whether or not they're good. But that almost doesn't matter. They have the magic, so they can become good. They can become good like that. There's every chance in the way in which, for instance, playing even the Italian champions, Inter Milan, I know there's been transfer issues, but you wouldn't quite be as not concerned, because I'm not concerned, as excited, as certain that they can just become AC Milan, because we know teams can just become who they are, because there's loads of times Liverpool have just become Liverpool.
Exactly, and the history speaks for itself.
Yep.
The fixtures that have already been played against them, Liverpool have been involved in arguably the greatest night in European history. Even the final in Athens. There's a real mystique about this game, about these two teams, the history on both sides. It's going to be everything I think we expect, regardless of what lineups both teams put out.
I think on the lineup question, we'll circle back around to it. But for me, this is one of the games, and I don't think there'll be more than 10 of them, but one of the games, and I know a couple of reasons why injuries also include it, but one of the games where I think you do go Fabinho, Henderson, Thiago. That Thiago gets most of the game against Leeds, Fabinho gets all of it, Henderson gets on. I think that this is one of the ones where you just do that for an hour and then you're in a situation to make it a little bit different. But you've bought Thiago in part for these games. Henderson's your captain and Fabinho's the best number 6 in Europe.
Definitely, and you've got, you're playing against a team, yes, they have got quality players in certain positions, but generally speaking, those three midfielders are better than their opposite number. They're able to control a game like this. We forget how experienced they are as well. Fabinho's gone on to play many Champions League games, both for us, for Monaco, Henderson, but all three of them have a huge kind of history in the competition themselves against big sides. And it's exactly the three I'd want to see starting.
The other part of this, we'll talk to Joe Matip after the clip we've got coming up from our preview show. The other part of this is these are our pot 4 team. So that's the theory. United last night get beaten away from home at their pot 4 team. They were much more of a classic pot 4 team, but you always felt, you talk about experience, you talk about nous, that was going to be harder for United in a really weird way than people were expecting it to be, and United's group suddenly looks like an absolute bear pit for them, to be honest with you. You end up, I think, with us, firstly, we want to get the points on the board. Obviously, it's a cliche, it's an obvious thing to say, but tonight is important in that regard. Getting 3 on the board that then sets up Porto away. If we can then get on a bit of a run, bit of momentum, that then sets up the Atletico games, home and away. It's important tonight. I think this is the key thing. Liverpool have got to take at least 4 points, I'd say, from the pot 4 team.
Definitely, and it's a thing we've said before every European draw, haven't we? Just win your home games, and this is the first of 3. So if we get this one done, on paper, maybe Atletico is a little bit harder in terms of coming to Anfield, but even then, last time we battered them. If we get the win tonight, I feel like Porto then kind of speaks for itself, and we can go there. We've already done it twice, and get the 3 points to really put us in a good position.
Excellent indeed. We have got a preview that was done yesterday by John Gibbons and Harriet Pryor from Anfield. Here it is.
Hello, it's the Champions League preview. It's John Gibbons with Harriet Pryor. And where else could we start this journey but at Anfield, where Harriet, we're going to be back watching the boys in the Champions League. And it feels like there's a lot of these milestones at the moment, isn't it? But Champions League under the lights feels like a really big one to be so excited to be back in the ground for.
Oh, 100%. I actually didn't realise until I was reading earlier that it was the first one back since that Atletico Madrid match. It feels a bit wild because it just feels like it's been such a long time has passed, and you know, we haven't performed in the Champions League as we'd have liked to the last couple of years since that match, really. So I think having the fans back is going to be a huge lift up, and it's going to be a good match. I'm excited. I haven't seen much of AC Milan, especially in recent years, so I'm looking forward to what sort of opposition they'll bring, and it's just going to be great having a Champions League night back at Anfield.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to get in there. I think the atmosphere is going to be electric, and AC Milan just brings a certain sort of star quality. You know, they've got obviously Zlatan up front as well, so we know who's you know the boo boy is already and stuff like that. But you know, it's the name AC Milan just makes you think of European like pedigree, same as us. You know, they've got 7 Champions Leagues, we're on 6, and it's, you know, you fancy that's the game where all around the world people are going, yeah, I'm going to tune into that one and see what happens.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the whole, when the draw happened, people were saying, oh, we've got a really tricky group, but that's why you want to be in the Champions League, because you want to play this European royalty and you want to have these clubs that are coming to Anfield and they're going to put on a good performance and be a good match. I'm looking forward to it. Obviously, there's a lot of chat about AC Milan and how they're not the AC Milan of the past, and they've got a sort of ageing side now. Even, you know, they've got like Giroud up front and stuff, and like you just said, Ibrahimovic stuff. So it's going to be a bit different, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a great match. I think it's a good one for the first one at Anfield, sort of ease us into the group. Hopefully it's one that we should win, but it's going to be fiery. That's what I think. It's definitely not going to be a 0-0. I'm not predicting any 0-0s. So.
No, it's an interesting one for both teams, because normally, you know, if you were in a group with AC Milan, you know, you'd be expecting, you know, to go through, and so the teams might be sort of sussing themselves out a little bit, or maybe even Liverpool thinking, well, a draw's not too bad a result. But the problem that both teams have is the presence of not just Atletico Madrid, but also Porto as well, who've got a really good record of getting through to the knockout stages. So really, you know, it's a big game for both sides, really. Maybe arguably bigger for Liverpool, because they're the sort of home team and we want to get off, you know, to a good start. But with it being, you know, there's no gimmies in this group.
Welcome back. Great stuff from Harriet and John there. Moving into this game with full excitement. Key thing. I think Joel Matip is very important to all of our lives, Fuad, at this point. I don't think you can understate it. I feel like he's on the verge of like coming around to ours, doing a roast. He's pulling lots of stuff together for everybody. He's so important to us. I think he needs a bit of wrapping up. Yeah. And I don't know if you wrap him up tonight or you wrap him up for Palace. My point is, I'm quite, if he picks him tonight, I'll go sound and then presume he's not going to play him against Palace, and then he doesn't have to do I think the Norwich game, because he won't pick him in the Norwich game. No. So I think the Norwich game says, rest him for tonight, play him against Palace, and then through this little run, he just plays the week games, and we just keep him in the league team.
Definitely. I think we've seen how important he is, just from the last game, from the games before that. He's got everything.
So good against Leeds.
Unbelievable. I mean, in the ground, you could just see him strutting down the pitch as if it was, I mean, it was second nature to him. It was brilliant, and that's such a valuable asset that we've sort of grown to appreciate again after last season. Yeah. But we didn't have centre halves who could do that, and now suddenly there's extra dimension to Liverpool, and you know, those long limbs just flailing about, boxing off anyone that's trying to bully him on the ball, any aerial duels. He's winning everything, and I would do everything to keep him fit.
I think they're likely to play Giroud. I think tonight Ibrahimovic is out. I think the idea, again, they're going to play Giroud, says to me, but why don't we go with the two? I mean, they're all big lads, don't get me wrong. They're all absolutely huge. But why don't we go with the two very biggest of the big lads tonight? Palace will also be physical, let's be clear about this, with Benteke, but I think that's where you can go Konate or Gomez. I think maybe err on the side of Gomez and say they'll get that boxed off between them. Gomez might even make a little bit more sense on that side because they'll play Zaha as well. You know, I think I just end up sort of in a little bit of a position where if tonight they're going to play Giroud, we go Matip, and then we'll let Saturday sort itself out.
I think that's the way to go. You let Saturday sort itself out. Then the midweek game against Norwich as well, he can have a rest. There's a good little period in there for him to kind of to take a step out. And you know, Gomez is more than able to come in. We've seen him come in from the cold before and put in really good performances. Yes, injury. He's coming back from injury. He hasn't had minutes, but all those things, you know, you sort of trust the playing staff, the coaching staff, to kind of know when the best time is for these guys to come back in.
Absolutely. We'll go through your comments. John McLean laughing at the young boys' result, understandably so. Shinton Barrett and Cliff Davis very much about making Anfield a special night. The occasion awaits. John McLean also mentions maybe seeing Cader Gordon on the bench tonight. He trained with the first team. I'd feel that was very, very, very young indeed. But then the flip side of that, Fuad, is I expect him to start against Norwich.
Yeah, definitely. I think he definitely starts against Norwich. Sorry, John McLean through me. Is this John McLean from Die Hard?
We've had this repeatedly with John. Yeah. And he's neither confirmed nor denied, to be quite honest with you. Die Hard with a Vengeance, Die Hard with the Talking Reds, etc. I could go on. He's neither confirmed nor denied at this point. Home wins are a must to qualify indeed. Big question from Stephen Canning, and I'd like your guidance on it. What's your layer game for tonight? It's a nightmare.
You know what? I've not had a coat, right? And I've just moved house, I got my stuff out of storage, and I found my 2 coats, and I've got a really thin one, I've got a thicker one, and I'm thinking I'd just keep that thin layer just in case it rains. Got the jumper, got the t-shirt, and the back of the cop has its own climate, so... I
think your box there, if anything, the back of the cop's a good point. You may prove to be too warm. I've been checking the weather and everything this morning. Then what I realised was I was coming into the office and going back home, so I didn't have to make all my decisions now. So I've deferred it, but genuinely, I'm a mess. I can't work out whether or not I want to go t-shirt, shirt, coat, but not big coat. I'm not going big coat yet, or even stylish, the coat I wore at Leeds, stylish medium sort of coat. I think I need to go the layer below, big coat, and that. It's not going to rain. Oh God! Honestly, it's so. I am.
It's one for later.
I can't handle it. I cannot dress myself tonight. I need a team of experts, maybe Joel Matip, to come in and say this is what you need to do, Akko. This is the way this needs to work. Cop on podcast. Excited to see Thiago and Fabinho play again. Ray Hefferman says greetings from Milan. They're fairly confident of getting something tonight. I reckon they'll go big and fast from the start. I want them to be a little bit confident, to be honest with you. Again, this is back to this point about the magic. I don't want AC Milan coming and cowering. They've got to come and be AC Milan. Otherwise, what's the point?
Exactly. I watched a bit of them over the last season when there was nothing else to do during lockdown. And they are a confident team. They have got that Kessie in the middle is a good player. He's one that can control the ball. They play out from the back when it suits them. They are a good footballing team. There's no mistake about that. But I just think we should have more than enough on the night. I think if we do what we've done in the past in these European nights and control the game and sort of play it at our pace and our tempo, I think we can cause them problems.
Yep. Stephen Canning says Klopp will do something left field and it will work. Cop says, would anyone play Keita in midfield? I wouldn't be averse to playing Keita. If Keita gets picked, I wouldn't go, oh my God, what's he doing? I sort of think Keita plays Palace. I think Keita on 60 on this one. I just like the idea of that 3 for this one, just setting a certain tone. Maybe I'm wrong, and maybe he will. He'll. I think I want him to play Fabinho for certain. Yeah. And then I'd like him to play both Henderson and Thiago. He definitely plays one of them, and then that gives us one more shot. Someone else is asking about Curtis Jones as well.
Yeah, I don't see that one. I don't think. Keita is very much in that camp at the moment, isn't he? Where you wouldn't necessarily pick him in your starting lineup, but if he is dropped in, you wouldn't be against it. And I think we've all longed to see Fabinho, Henderson, and Thiago play again since the derby, and it'd be great to have them 3 on a big European night. And it's something to get excited about. It's something that we haven't been able to see much of. They're 3 players like we talked about before, who have all got their own individual experience and have qualities that bring the best out of each other as well. And Henderson is definitely, you can tell he's kind of chomping at the bit to get out there again. You saw when he came on against Leeds, I think he brought an extra bit of energy. In a situation where it could have gone a bit flat just when Elliott does get that injury, the team is a bit shaken. So I am looking forward to seeing that. And we talk about Milan making a fast start. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Liverpool going really.
The other thing to remember is he can make subs.
Yeah.
So this is the key. For me, I think there's every chance that if he started the 3 I've talked about without the injury permitting, i.e. there isn't one. If then, for instance, Thiago comes off on 60 because he wants to use him against Palace, and he might already have in his mind for Palace. Okay, he might decide to give Henderson this 90 and Fabinho and Thiago both come off relatively early before 70 in this one because he wants them both for Palace as well. Yeah, I think he's got options. He's got to play his cards.
Definitely. And do you think? I don't know. What I was thinking about this just before we started about Elliott. If there may have been, he might have been the first sub for the front 3 because there's a 3 who've played a lot of football in a short period of time. So I do wonder about that, how that goes.
I think we see Chamberlain
Yeah.
tonight. I think Chamberlain will be used a lot from the
Yeah.
bench across the next few games in terms of taking someone off and keeping them fresh. I think if Liverpool feel like the game's a little bit in the balance, it'll be Jota who comes off. I think if Liverpool feel as though the game is done and dusted, it'll be possibly one of the other two, with an eye on Palace. Everything you need from the Anfield Wrap all the way across this one. It was fantastic against Leeds United before and after. Best shows you could possibly conceive of to build the excitement. There was the preview we saw before with John and Harriet. There was Under the Lights yesterday. Immediately after the game tonight, there will be people filming a fantastic post-match video in Anfield, the post-match pint, and there will be back at the Glenbook. We will be doing the post-match audio. I cannot wait for both. They will be the absolute business. This team's the absolute business. This season is shaping up like the absolute business. But forget all that. Forget all the business. Remember the magic. There are 5 big games. The first friendly is back. Then you've got the first league game back, then you've got the first big league game back, then you've got the first European game back, and if Liverpool win tonight, then we get ourselves on the pathway towards the first big knockout game back. Set your alarm for February, but we win tonight.